Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be why men get jerked around and stood up by women. So I've got two different emails that I'm going to go through with you today, and these are from two different viewers. The first one is from a guy who's known this woman for, I guess, about a year or so. And so what's interesting, what you'll see about his email is that when you meet a woman, you start interacting with her because he's known her for a while, she's going to form an opinion of you. And some point in the past year, he came across my work, started learning 3% Man. And so partially what you're going to see is he's kind of trying to undo the impression he has given of himself to her. And then at the very end, he sets a date, and then she ends up jerking him around and then not even following through with it. And the second one is from a guy who says he's been following me for a while, but he keeps getting stood up by women. He makes dates, he's out, meets girls when he's hanging out, makes what he thinks are definite dates, and he either gets stood up, ghosted, or totally jerked around. And he believes that he's applying what's in 3% Man properly, but what you'll see when we go through his email, he's doing some things that are, he's making dates with women he doesn't have rapport with. Especially he's going out, if you're out in the bars and you're drinking and you're making definite dates with women that have a few cocktails in them, and then they don't show up for the date, you really kind of shouldn't be surprised. So it really is a good email to illustrate the importance of having good rapport with a woman, but most importantly, making sure she actually is excited to meet you, to get to spend time with you, to make a date with you. And that's something that he's obviously missing here. So I got a quote that I wrote on this particular topic, and then we'll go through the email. Because the idea is you want a woman who really likes you and who will want to spend time with you. Because if she really likes you, she'll be eager to converse with you and have fun on a date versus somebody that has low to no interest and then trying to engage them in conversations like pulling teeth. And that's about as much fun as watching paint dry. But unfortunately, lots of guys do that anyways, hoping that they're going to get her to like them. It's like, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. And both these guys are making things way harder on themselves than it needs to be. And that's what happens when you kind of don't have an abundance mentality. You're just trying to make something out of nothing. And it just ends up being a very frustrating experience, which you'll see. So the quote says, women make it easy for guys they like to get together and have fun dates and romance. Women make it difficult for guys they have low interest in, a lack of rapport with, and men they do not respect to get together in person. Smart men only make dates with women that are easygoing, easy to get along with, and who are actually excited about an opportunity to spend time together. The lower a woman's interest, respect, and rapport is in a man, the more likely she is to jerk him around, change plans at the last minute, or stand him up and ghost him. So let's go through the first guy's email. He says, hey, Coach, I've been a student for 5 years, and I've read the book 12 times, and I'm about half done reading again as we speak. My question is about a girl who lives in my neighborhood. We talked when I moved in, and I mistakenly wanted to just remain friends and at an arm's length. She then got a boyfriend, and we stopped talking entirely. Okay, so I was thinking that this guy had only been following me for a few months, but he's been following me for 5 years. And he says he's read 3% Man 12 times. And so you can see the vibe he's given out is a platonic vibe. He's not interested in anything else, just wants to remain friends. And then at some point, he decides he likes her. So he's already interacted with her in a specific way, and now he's trying to change that. So it's a difficult situation to come back from. Because more than likely, if he's writing me about this girl, he probably liked her to begin with. And for whatever reason, he didn't make a move. He didn't try to make a date. And women can sense when you like them and yet you don't have the confidence to do something about it. And then if you later develop the confidence or the balls to go for it, it's very hard to convert because she's already formed an opinion of you as either being a guy that she would date and sleep with or a guy that's strictly platonic. And in this case, everything he gave off was the friendship vibe. And I would say on some level, guys don't just all of a sudden go, oh, I like this girl. Yeah, right. All guys know within a few seconds of meeting a woman if you would sleep with her. And so on some level, he was thinking he wanted to sleep with her, but he came up with a story that said he shouldn't. For whatever the reason is, that was the vibe he gave off. But women can pick up on that. They can sense when you like them and you're hiding your interests. He says, my question is about a girl who lives in my neighborhood. We talked when I moved in. He wanted to remain friends, kept her on arm's length, but obviously she had a boyfriend. So he says 6 months later, they broke up. After a couple of months, I, perhaps mistakenly, reached out to her and we started talking again. For the first several weeks, I called once a week asking her out and she would say she was busy. So again, if he's been following me for 5 years and has read this book 12 times and he's calling her once a week to ask her out and all she says is she's busy, for the good students, what does that mean? Low to no interest. You're looking for, hell yeah, I'd love to go out with you. That'd be great. But instead she's, I'm busy. But yet he persists. He's like, I got this blue book. It's going to change everything. It's going to make her like me. But he's ignoring reality. She then out of nowhere asked me, what is this? And she said she was trying to interpret what was going on between us. Yeah, I'd say he's probably leaving out some details. Because he's trying to act like, oh, it's not a big deal, but yet he was calling her once a week, asking her out, and she was always busy. And at some point, she's like, what is this? So more than likely, he probably spent a lot of time chit-chatting on the phone. For a woman just to say, what is this? Obviously, they're doing a lot more talking than him calling her once a week to ask her out on a date, and she says she's busy. So he's thinking he could talk through the phone to raise her interest, which doesn't work. And it's what's discussed in 3% Man, but he's not following the book. Seeing as though we hadn't even met up yet, I simply said I was interested in spending time together. After this, I decided to tell her to get in touch with me when your schedule frees up and we'll make plans for the two of us. 2 weeks later, she called me 3 times. I didn't have my phone on me as I was at the gym. By the time I was done, it was midnight and decided not to call back. The next night, she texted me, hey, I called last night to see if you'd like to go for a drink sometime. So it seems maybe she is a little interested. I said, sure, that sounds good. When are you free? She then called me and started talking about her day and what I was up to be in awareness of your work. Within a couple of minutes, I said, let's hang out tomorrow and we can talk more then. She said, sure, and that she had errands to run and she would touch base with me in the afternoon. So, students, good students, as we know, what does the book say about that? You're making a definite date, a definite appointment. And what is her response? She says, I have errands to run, and that she would touch base in the afternoon. Does that sound like a definite date, or does that sound like a call to verify? So that's an up in the air date. In other words, if I have nothing better going on, yeah, maybe I'll meet up with you for a drink. That's not a hell yeah, I'd love to see you. I'm clearing my schedule for you. That's, yeah, let's touch base in the afternoon and I'll see if you'll allow me to waste your time with a last minute date or cancellation. He says, I don't want to do any confirmation. Let's plan on 7 p.m. She said, okay, that works. So, seems like he brought up the fact that he wasn't, because the proper response is, hey, well, if you're not sure of your schedule, let's make plans on a night or a day when you're definitely available to get together. He didn't do that. She said, okay, that works. The next day came, and of course, at 6 o'clock, an hour before they're supposed to get together, she said her sister came into town early for the holidays. Oh, shucks. Boy, that totally sounds legit. And they were going out to dinner, but she would be coming to my place later in the evening if it wasn't too late. In other words, yeah, if I got nothing else going on and I need some amusement, yeah, maybe I'll come over. So remember, he's cleared his evening to go on a date with her. And he's continuing to say, oh, yeah, sure, Your Highness, that sounds great. That'd be just wonderful. You just graced me with your presence. He didn't say that, but obviously he communicated that his time wasn't very valuable. He says, I did not reply, perhaps my mistake, but I thought to myself, she did not actually ask me a question and more made a statement. I figured she will get in touch with me later if she wants to come over. but I never heard from her. Oh, that's a big shock. That's what happens when you... He basically communicated his time wasn't very valuable and it's totally okay if you waste it. So what did she do? She wasted it. He says, where did I go wrong, coach? You did the opposite of what the book teaches. It shouldn't be shocking. She asked me about going for a drink and I made a definite date. No, you didn't. You made a call to verify date. And even though your response was like, oh, I only want to make definite plans, when she tried to change the plans at the last minute, you went along with allowing her to waste your time. I would have just said, hey, well, if you're going to be getting together with your sister, why don't you just go do that and we can get together some other time and do the takeaway. He didn't do the takeaway. And then therefore he communicated his time wasn't very valuable. And so therefore there's no consequences of wasting his time because it's not valuable anyway. So she can just waste some more of your time in a few days or next week or whatever. Why did a day later she want to change plans? Because, quite frankly, you acted weak. You acted like a bitch. If you act like a bitch, women will treat you like a bitch. It's harsh, but that's reality. I just read in your book where you made a statement that if a girl asks you for drinks, it means she has high interest. Yeah, you're claiming that you've been following me for 5 years and you read this book 12 times. These questions and your behavior don't act like a guy that's read the book 12 times. You act like a guy who's maybe cherry-picked a few videos here and there over the years, and maybe thumbed through the book once, but you don't sound like a guy that knows what's in the book. So all I have to do is look at your actions, and it sounds like you're trying to bullshit me. Well, you bullshitted yourself, and look what happened. This girl jerked you around. He says, but yet the next day she wanted to change plans, which is low interest, even though I made zero contact in between like you suggest. But yeah, as I went through in your email, you just communicated that your time wasn't very valuable and it's totally okay to waste it. As a matter of fact, you invited her to waste your time. Remember, no one will ever do or say anything to you that isn't a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves in a moment. So it's the constant calling her to ask her out once a week. She keeps saying she's busy. You should have taken the hint and just stopped moving forward once she said she was busy. Then if she says, hey, I'm busy, then say, all right, well, when your schedule frees up, I'd love to hang out, catch up, give me a call. That's all he would have had to say. But he kept pursuing once a week until eventually he recognized it wasn't going anywhere. Then he backed off. But like I said, she formed an opinion when they first met, and he's continued to basically act like his time's not valuable. And so therefore, women are going to match and mirror how you show up. You act like a man, they're going to treat you with respect. You act like your time's not worth anything, well, they're going to waste it. So let's go through the second email. It says, hey, Coach, Merry Christmas to you and all of your staff. Well, ho, ho, ho. Ho, 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 and a bottle of rum. I found your work in 2019. I've been applying it ever since. I've read 3% Man 20 plus times, first book, and then Mastering Yourself 2 times, twice, which you can read for free in the members area. And the new book, Quotes, Ruminations, and Contemplations, is also available. He says 9 times. He says, I've interacted with about 200 women since discovering your work, and I've only had success with one-night stands and HB7s, which, to borrow from the mystery method, HB stands for hot babe. HB7s and 8s. Like you said in the book, the more I practice the material, the better the quality of woman I will run into. Well, as you become better, the quality that you attract is better. In the past couple of months, because quite frankly, you act like you deserve to be there instead of, oh, Your Highness, please spend time with me. In the past couple of months, I've been interacting with women in the HB9s and 10s and making dates on the spot, which I'm 100% confident with by now. Well, if you're going to make a date on the spot, you better have established enough rapport to where they're excited to make a date. He says, however, I either get the no contact or get stood up when I call them at the time of the date asking if they are almost there. So that tells me he's making dates with women that are just simply not excited about it, and they're probably just being nice and hoping he'll go away. Then eventually they do go away because they ghost him. Some of them would feel no remorse. Obviously, that tells me you're not able to recognize that they're not that into you, dude. And tell me that they were buzzed and don't remember making plans with me. Dude, don't be going out to bars and nightclubs in the weekends and going up to drunk girls and making dates and then be surprised 4 or 5 days later or a week later that they don't show up for your date. I mean, that's kind of common sense. But you did it to yourself. After I hear that, I just don't even reply and delete the number right away. Don't make dates with drunk girls. It's common sense, but obviously we have to remind you of that. You mentioned in the book to give the woman a call on the day of the date and adjust the time because you have errands to run. Actually, that's not in the book. That's part of your problem is you don't actually know what's in the book because you've not been a very good student. That is something I've suggested in videos with guys that are going to make dates with women they have low rapport with. If you're not sure she's going to keep the date, then maybe a few hours before, say, hey, a meeting's running late. How about we push our meeting back an hour, half hour, whatever? Does that work for you? That's all you got to do. Some will reply, sure. Some will reply, oh, I forgot. I'm having a funeral for my parakeet in the backyard and all my friends are coming over. It's a really tough time for us. I personally hadn't done this yet because I only want high interest prospects. Well, you're making dates with low interest prospects and you're not realizing it, especially trying to make dates with drunk girls. I mean, that's just that's stupid. And if a woman forgets our plans, then she is not worthy. It was like, well, you obviously enjoy wasting your time and being stood up. Is this just a stream of bad luck? You don't make dates with drunk girls, dude. You make dates with women in person, instant dates. An instant date means typically you have a date right then and there on the spot. It starts then. Or you have so much connection and rapport, you make a date for the next day or two after that, and she's excited to see you, you're excited to see her. He says, I've been stood up 4 times in a row now by women whom I thought had at least a level 5 or higher interest in me. Don't set dates with drunk girls. I just met 2 HB9s yesterday on a random night out. I did the usual stuff, made some rapport, made them laugh, got their numbers, and get out of there. If you're going to meet total strangers like that, you got to have some level of rapport. I mean, think about most people are going to meet somebody at work or through social functions with people they're hanging out from work, or maybe they go to a friend's barbecue in the weekend. There's a cute girl there, and they end up spending a couple hours talking. You're gonna get her address, and you're gonna go pick her up because you know several people at the party together, and you already have high rapport. And so getting together in person, she likes you, you like her, you got social proof because you have mutual friends in common. You're not gonna have to worry about getting stood up or the girl not being there when you go to pick her up. But a chick you talk to for 2 or 3 minutes at a club and who's drunk or buzzed, as they say, you shouldn't be surprised at all. Now I'll be applying the same method that I have always been. Again, these 2 women, I feel like their interest level in me is at least a 5. However, I've been wrong before, so I'm not so sure. If it's not easygoing, easy to get along with in person, there's no enthusiasm when you're talking to them, you shouldn't be making dates. So you're not paying attention. And I would have to say both these guys, neither one of them really know my book that well. So you guys got to do better, man. You're making unnecessary mistakes and you're spinning wheels and wasting your time on chicks that just simply have low to no interest in you. So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.